So the next section is about liquid staking, and this is super amazing. I just can't wait to use this feature. So the liquid staking, in a nutshell, is like it's a meta, trustless staking pool that you can free your stake asset. So think about as like if you're holding Kusama today, and if you stake with validators, which you should. Every time that you want to spend or you want to move your Kusama, you have this typical 7-day unbonding period for the security of the network. And on Polkadot, it's even longer. It's 28 days for unbonding your stake assets. So what we created as what we call liquid staking is essentially a trustless staking pool that you can stake using Karura. And every time that you stake, you will be getting a receipt of your stake asset. Because it's trustless, the receipt of your stake asset, what we call LKSM. So LKSM is you bearing. As long as you hold onto LKSM, you will be earning the staking reward. It's also safe because it's trustless. It's always guaranteed that you can redeem for more KSM when you want to redeem the KSM back. So this is something that's extremely user friendly. I think everyone should be using this if you hold Kusama. And I'm going to demonstrate here, right? So for me to stake in this trustless staking pool, it's as simple as I just swap some dots or some KSM into LKSM. We make the user interface looks like swapping, but instead this is not. This is staking. So I'm going to say that I'm going to stake, and this is I'm essentially staking 1 KSM. In exchange, I get 10 LKSM back. This ratio is determined by the system. We are going to improve this user interface later. So it's always say that 1 KSM will be equal to 1 LKSM, and then 1 LKSM will be equal to more and more KSM when you redeem later. That's like if you hold on to LKSM, you will be growing. Very similar to how you save money in compound, your money will be growing. That's like you are earning interest. But in this particular, in our liquid staking, you are earning the staking reward. The LKSM, go ahead, Dan.
Let me just explain that. So in this case, you can see dot and L dot, so that might be easier. So what you're doing here is you're staking dot, and say you're staking 10 dot. You would get 10 L dot in return, and those liquid dots can be used within a kala if it's dot. But what Ruita mentioned is how this L dot is a receipt for your staked dot. So if you can imagine, like on the wallet screen that Ruita showed you with all of your balances, your L dot balance will actually always be going up because it's showing you it's a receipt for your staked dot. So as your staked dot starts earning more and more staking rewards, that'll be reflected in your L dot balance. So when you go to redeem your L dot for like native dot at the end, whenever you want to unstake, your L dot will have gone up since the moment you actually got your original L dot, if that makes sense. Because it's always reflecting your staking rewards, adding on to your stack of L dot.
Yeah, think about as if L dot is a share of the pool, of the staking pool, and the staking pool is growing in size because there's going to be staking reward that's pouring to the pool. But you can always redeem for the same share that you put it in. So the redeeming number will be always growing. So holding L dot, holding LKSM is as if you are staking. Yeah, and it's like if you have L dot or you have LKSM, because we call it liquid, right? It's actually transferable within the Alcala shard and within the wider Polkadot ecosystem. You can send L dot to someone else. You can send LKSM to someone else as you were just moving, as if you're just moving some transferable asset. The recipient who gets L dot or who gets LKSM can choose to continue to hold on the LKSM or L dot, or they can decide to redeem and get the actual vanilla dot back. So this is like the reason we call it liquid is that it's transferable. It could be used for other utility as well. And one big utility that you can use with this LKSM is that you can actually borrow against your LKSM. In the demo that I showed earlier is that you can borrow against your stake asset. So you don't actually have to give up your opportunity cost if you say that you want to borrow against dots. You have to choose that, hey, do I want to stake this dot or do I want to borrow against my dot? But with L dot or with LKSM, this is the best of both. You could be earning the staking reward while you're borrowing against your position.
One question from Jack here in the chat is, it's basically like what he said, what happens if you trade or sell your L dot? So you have like the stake dot, you get this L dot. Let's say you sell it all and you have, so what happens then to your original dot? Like, how do you actually either pay for that or get the dot?
So think about the L dot is like a receipt or redeems receipt for your stake dot, right? So if you sell your L dot, you actually sell the right to redeem those dots. So it's as if you sell the dot to someone else. So in the demo that I just showed earlier, if I transfer some L dot to someone else, I was transferring the redeem right of the underlying dot to someone else. So it's as if I was sending dots. So if you sold them, then it's just like as if you sold the dots. It's no longer yours. And the redeem right for the underlying dot is also no longer yours.
Okay, so the L dot isn't connected directly to like a specific dot. It's kind of that pool. So if Jack here, who asked the question, sent me his L dot, I could take that L dot and redeem it for dot in the Akala pool.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The moment that you stake with the liquid staking pool, the dot enter the pool, and you essentially get back is the right to redeem for the dot. And because dot itself is not fungible, it's fungible, right? Every single dot is the same. You can't say that, okay, that dot is my dot and that dot is your dot. They are all dots.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this Sage Law said, so the L dot is like the title to a car. So if you sell the title, someone else kind of owns the car.
Yes.
Makes sense. Another good question is, basically, could you explain how the interest or the staking interest works, since you're staking with Akala versus, I guess in this case, with Karura. So if you're staking your KSM with Karura, it's not staking like directly into the Kusama chain. There's this kind of application layer. So they're asking who is paying that percent interest for in the Karura case, LKSM staking. Like, how does that work?
Well, awesome. Like, this is a good question, right? So think about the liquid staking pool as a trustless staking pool. The dot or the KSM that you deposit into the pool will be managed by the network, and the network will then nominate those dots into the validator within the Kusama network. And if this dot is this pool size is growing in size, it will be managed. It will be nominated across multiple validators in the Kusama network. So ultimately, the staking reward of staking by minting the LKSM would be equivalent to the average yield of the network. It will be safer because like the pool is spread across multiple validators. So even a slash happens, the risk of like the pool is sort of like mitigated. Because only slash a tiny portion of that. But the same, the staking reward is also the average yield. It's like a safe average yield of the expected return of the network. And one key other fact we need to understand is also the LKSM holders actually can vote for validators. So this is what we are work in progress. So when you meet LKSM, you actually have the right to say that I prefer the pool to validate and delegate the KSM into this set of validators. And ultimately, the pool will take all the input from the LKSM holders and nominate those Kusama for across all the validators as a portion.
With Kusama now, if you're staking through Polkadot.js, it's you as a user staking directly to a validator or a set of validators. In this case, there's Karura in the middle. So you stake with Karura. Karura distributes the stake of everyone on Karura to an evenly distributed set of validators across Kusama. And then all the returns coming in from those validators are pooled and then evenly distributed at the average across all the validators that Karura is staking with.
Yes, and if this is like a centralized staking service, then you have the risk of the centralized entity being default. You have to trust the centralized entity to do the right thing. But since the liquid staking protocol that we currently have is trustless, everything is managed on chain. You can think of like it's like an advanced version of smart contract. Everyone is staking in a trustless way, and there's no risk of being managed by one single centralized entity. So I think this is awesome. This is the way to go for, in a sense, your Kusama, even if you stake through the liquid staking, your Kusama never leave your custody.
Okay, so by staking or by making dot liquid, are we compromising the safety of the Polkadot chain? The dot can be slashed, still be slashed, right? What happens then? So basically, he's asking what happens with like network security and slashing.
Okay, I think this is an awesome question, right? So, if the Polkadot's network security can be compromised by saying that you simply pull up the dot together and make it transferable and make it liquid, then I think it's going to happen anyway. Like there's always a lot of centralized entities. So if you stake with Binance today, you can already transfer your stake asset. You can trade it on the market or things like that. So the thing is that we don't think this is going to affect the Polkadot's network security at all, because ultimately, if by simply reprogram or by gaming, by building something on top of the network and you can affect its security, then there's actually a security problem of the underlying layer. In our case, we don't think that's going to have any problem. The other key stuff to think about, if you stake through this particular liquid staking pool, you actually do not have the risk-free way to say that you are no longer getting chance of getting slashed. So if the liquid staking pool was delegating or nominating, let's say across 50 validators, and one of those getting slashed, the pool actually will get a hit of getting this slashed. But the result of like spreading this pool across 50 validators is that even though you're getting slashed in one validator, the overall damage for the whole pool is particularly low, and that's why I say it's a safe way to stake. It's getting the average yield of the network. It's not trying to seek for the maximum return, but it's also a very, very user-friendly way that you can always expect to earn the expected return of the network. If you were staking by yourself and if you're nominating your dot to one particular validator, and then if that validator was misbehaving, is slashed, then you will take a cut by nominating that validator. If you stake through this pool, there's still chances that validator gets slashed, but the overall cost for the pool holders will be even out and will be reduced.
Mm-hmm. One of the current issues on Polkadot and Kusama right now are two things. The staking minimums are becoming super high on Polkadot and also on Kusama. So what this allows is for people to come in and stake DOT with like virtually no minimum, right? Like what would the actual minimum be?
So this is like, I have friends that has like 40 dots, right? And my friend really want to stake, but you can't because the minimum staking amount on Polkadot currently I think is over 200 dots, which is a lot. But in this, if you stake through Karura or if you stake through Akala, you can actually bypass this limitation, because like the pool itself, like this particular address controlled by the protocol, will actually definitely have more than 200 dots to nominate. So no matter how small amount you have, you can still deposit into this pool, and the pool by itself can nominate the total amount of its dot to all the validators. So yes, we can definitely bypass that.
And then the other thing is people who are staking through Polkadot.js or any of the other kind of more native staking, like not exchanges and centralized stuff. With Polkadot.js right now, you stake KSM and you have to do this 7-day unbonding period. And then with Polkadot, it's even longer. It's 28 days, so it just takes forever to unlock. With Karura and with Akala, you can, and we were talking, maybe you can show this, but basically you can unstake early for a small fee.
Yes. So the design of the liquid staking pool is that if I go to the advanced tab, you will see that we always have maintain some free dots or some free Kusama available for redeem immediately. So let's say that if a user really want to redeem the L dot back to dots immediately, you can do so, because there's always a portion to set aside for free to redeem. But if you want to redeem immediately, you need to pay a fee to cover the otherwise lost return of those free portion of the pool. And also, like, this is not option. This is not compulsory. So if you want to redeem, there's actually 3 ways for you to redeem. You can say that I want to redeem now, then I will have to pay some fee. Or you say that we're going to redeem the typical way, that's like waiting for the standard unbounding period. You can free to do so. Or you can also redeem to say that I want to redeem, and there's a queue of unbounding dots on the staking pool, because like we'll be always rebalance between the stake dot and the unstake dot. So you can choose that which maybe like 5 days later you need the dots that will be at that particular price. So it's actually a lot of like advanced feature hidden in here that you can redeem in multiple ways. You can redeem at no cost, or you can redeem immediately.
So in the middle one that you just showed,
Yeah.
Basically the main difference would be every day closer to the current date, you're just paying a little bit higher of a fee. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So think about that. You want to withdraw money from a fixed term deposit account, right? So you have to pay some fee, or you have to lose some interest if you want to withdraw money from a fixed deposit account. And how much you want to, how urgently you need the money, and you will forfeit how much interest you will be giving back.
Mm-hmm.